A very pleasant good evening to each and every one of you. I'm not sure if anyone locked in as yet. Um, but I want to say a very good evening and welcome to the Ken Rampersaud Show on Island Zone Radio. Today, Monday, the 20th of April, 2026. Um, there's so much things to talk about, so much sad things. Not sure where to start. Where are we heading as a new world? So much pain, so much sorrows. Um, it's not easy to digest all the things that's going on in the world today. Nevertheless, please, ladies and gentlemen, share the show. Um, write something in the comment box so that I would see that you're locked in and where are you from. Sometimes I really don't get to see all the names or everyone who's watching unless you probably made a comment and it's not going fast. But tonight will be a kind of slow paced show. I'm still g- trying to get the studio together. As you guys may know that I've changed my studio, um, and my music actually is outdated, so I have to get something new. When I return back from Ghana, I'll get something new to run the show with. You know, a couple of things this week actually, that really um, was really difficult. It's a difficult week. Um, a school child was in the park and he was shot and he's dead. I know today he was playing some games there and he's dead today. I think they're doing a vigil for him at Roy Wilkins Park. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that it was today, or I would have gone to the park to bring a live broadcast of what's going on at the park today. Again, ladies and gentlemen, share the show. It would not be a long show tonight. Also, another disturbing thing that happened on Saturday night into Sunday morning, right 2 houses away from me in my street, there was another shooting here. And, this is a quiet neighborhood. Queens Village is a quiet neighborhood. You don't really see people shooting people and so on here. But, what happens is that sometimes people rent their place, they rent their houses, and they don't know who they're bringing. And so these are some of the problems that we have here going on in this 213th Street. Also, another disturbing thing in Louisiana, a man, this is so sad, he shot a couple people, including seven of his children who died. And another child died. So a total of eight of them. I know his wife and another lady, they are in critical condition in the hospital. So we need to start praying, actually pray for the world, pray for our friends, our neighbors, whomever it is, because I don't know where we are heading as a world, as a people. Um, we are not even sharing so much love like before, and every time there is a little problem here and there. Nevertheless, tonight I want to talk a little bit about. And by the way, I'm heading to Guyana next week. And so I'm going to be honoring quite a number of people. Those people who have been recognized, who have been helping out with the rescuing stray animals in Guyana. Um, I've got 11 women up to now that I'll give them an award, and if I get enough money, I will donate it to them, like at least $50 to buy dinner or whatever it is. um, don't forget, if you want your raffle tickets, please call me or you can text me. $25 for a ticket and five for $20. Is you're supporting a great cause. And plus, I have a couple barrels that I want to send to Guyana. I sent about 3 weeks ago. I sent about 3 barrels and four wheelchair, as most of you may have known. That the goal for my married projects is nobody should really be in a bed all the time. So I'll try my best to see as much as wheelchair I could send to Guyana so that people do not lying on their backs all the time and confined to their beds. So don't forget, just support the cause. So I have a lot of wheelchairs more and some Pampers here, a lot of Pampers that I need to ship out to Guyana. Um, so tonight I want to talk about, and like I said, this show would not be very long. It will be another 20 minutes or so. And I want to talk about um, something that's going on for a long time, probably since before I was born. Before I was born. Um, and let me, guys, comment. Let me see who's watching tonight. You're watching the Ken Rampersaud show. Unfortunately, I don't have any music on to play for you guys tonight because I said I have to update my music system. Um, what I want to talk about tonight is child sexual abuse. And it is something difficult that we have to hear about and talk about, but it's even more difficult for the child to live through child sexual abuse. And as we have known that April of each year, we recognize Child Abuse Prevention Month, a time that calls on all of us, not just parents, but our entire community, to open our eyes, our hearts, and our voices. Because trust me, this really, hi, Hafiza Khan, a very good evening to you. Thanks for tuning in. You know, the sad thing is that child abuse affects actually nearly every household. Um, you know, the thing is that because the truth is sexual abuse does not always look the way we expect it to look, right? It does not always happen in the dark alleys or by strangers. More often, it happens in silence, behind closed doors, and at the hands of someone who we know or who the child knows, and someone who we trust. And strangely, the statistic says that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 13 boys experience sexual abuse in their lifetime. And it's a sad thing, right? Before the age of 18. Most cases never get reported, and many victims wait until before they become an older person, an adult, before they speak up, if they even report it. These are children in our homes and our communities, right? And who is abusing our children? You might be very surprised. As I said, the hardest truth is this: it is usually someone the child knows, family members, close friends, or trusted adults, like your auntie, your uncle, your brother, your sister may abuse. They may be staying by you and they abuse your child, right? Um, and the thing is that sexual abuse often begins with grooming, building trust, giving attention, isolating the child, and slowly crossing boundaries. And back in Ghana, we know that we hug the children, we play with them, we put them to sit down on our laps. But the truth of the matter is, those kind of things is fading away, and we shouldn't really accept these kind of things now. You know, and the warning signs are children may not always speak, but if you look at the behavior, it would tell a whole different story. I like a sudden fear of a specific person, withdrawal, anger, or depression. And when I talk about sometimes children, you send them to the aunt or the uncle to play with them, and these children don't want to go. And as parents, sometimes we force them, we fight them to go. This time we don't know what's going on or why the child does not want to go by their aunt or uncle. Rhonda Spencer, Tom, a very good evening to you. Thanks for tuning in. Dr. Narayan Dat, a very good evening to you. Thanks very much. And today we are talking a little bit about child abuse. You know, and I know, Dr. Narayan, that you definitely know a lot about this topic. And as we all know, that it happens most of the time with people who we know, or uncles or aunt. I remember back in the days, I know an aunt had a sexual relationship with about four of her nephews back in Guyana. And it was normal thing like for them. Unfortunately, when the parents went to bed, the aunt is with all her nephews, you know, and it's sad. Knowledge of sexual behavior beyond their age, avoid certain places or people, the sleeping problems or nightmare, all these things the children would experience. And we often ask, why do children stay silent? Because of the fear of not being believed. And I have heard so many stories where children reported child abuse to their parents, and they don't doesn't believe them, and they don't want to believe them because of shame or confusion, loyalty or love towards the abuser, fear of breaking up the whole family dynamics. And I know that families sometimes get problem into all of this. I know there is family who doesn't speak because of all of this. I know two first cousins who got children for each other, you know, and all of this started because as children they grew up, they groom each other, and they fall in love, and next thing you know, they get a child. And what happened then? Parents find out too late and they can't do anything, right? And why some parents struggle to believe this is because it's difficult but important to understand, right? Denial and shock. Oh my God, can you believe that your daughter, your little 2-year-old daughter or a 3-year-old daughter come to you and said, Mommy, so and so is touching me at my private part? Like your brother, that would cause a lot of problem. If you find out even your husband abusing your child, or even you find your brother is abusing your little child. Um, Trust is in the abuser, fear of the consequences, misunderstanding how children communicate, guilt and self blame, cultural and social pressure. When a child is not believed, the abuse can continue and harm them deeper for so many years, right? And so I want to tell people, I don't know if I have this down in my notes, but I don't want to forget that anytime a child come to you as a parent and they talk to you that somebody is touching them, um, you want to believe them. Believe your children. If you see there is you're bathing your daughter or your son, and you see their private part is swollen or there is bruise or abrasion or scratches, as a mother or father, you want to find out what's going on. How they get that injury, right? Um, Preventing child sexual abuse means building a circle of protection around your children. Teach your children their body belongs to them. Explain safe and unsafe touch in simple terms. Let them know it's okay to say no, even if it's an adult or family member. Encourage them to speak to a trusted adult. Watch behavior, not just words. Avoid isolated one-on-one situation. Monitor online activities. Build trusting relationships so that children feel safe to come and tell you. Um, yes, as parents, we want to have that relationship with our kids that, um, if somebody's abusing them that or anything that they will come and want to tell their parents. Despite now is more complex, um, that children wouldn't want to come and talk to their parents. In these times, you would see that children prefer to go and trust people on the streets, trust their school friends, and that's where the problem starts. There's so many influences out there on in the street, that it's sad that these children are now, most of the children, or at least some of the children, are going out there and believing what other people telling them than they listen to their parents. But they're young, they don't know better. Right? If you suspect or know abuse, and I have to tell you something, you have to be very careful. Some As parents, you know what is normal, what a normal vagina look like, what a normal penis looks like. And if you see anything abnormal, you need to question your child and find out what's really going on. If you suspect or know of abuse, this is some of the things that you could do. Ensure the child's safety immediately. The child's safety is important. It's important. Listen calmly and believe them. Seek medical care if needed. Report to child the office of Keen. Good evening. Who's that? I don't know who it is, but good evening. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks all of you for tuning in at the Ken Rampersaud show today. Um, Report to Child Protective Services or a hotline. Do not confront the abuser yourself. Get professional support for the child. You do not need proof. Concern is enough to ask. Okay. The um Yes. One thing is the best thing, in good evening. Hi, good evening, Mahendra. I'll read what you said just now. One of the thing is with child abuse, right? If you take that child to the hospital and they examine that child and see there is bruises on that child private parts, in the anus, in the rectum, on the penis, they themselves will call the officials to find out what's going on with that child. Um, so yeah, it's terrible. So, and I want to read what Mahendra said. Uncle Kenneth, good evening. Important topic. Parents and grandparents have to be in tune to young children. One of the challenge in this topic comes off as a taboo and as sensitive. However, we have to live more pragmatic and educate ourselves and the young children, create a conducive environment for openness. Absolutely. And the same thing I was saying, Mahendra, a lot of our parents these days do not believe when the children tell them these things. They go to the parents don't believe. And so oftentimes these abuse will continue to go on, or the child probably would not want to say anything. I remember a story when I was a young boy growing up, um, in Guyana. Uh, my mother had sent me to Puerto Rico market to take a dress for a woman. And she said to me, Ken, take this dress to my house. And lo and behold, she had a, um, a common law husband who she took, by the way. And I have known him. And when I took the dress to the house, her husband came and he came with with a sheet wrapped around his private part, and I could tell that he had an erection. I was young then. I was a little boy, probably 13, 14. And behind him, I saw the woman daughter coming out of the room too. And I don't know, somehow or the other, I put two and two together, and I realized what was going on in that house. While the mother was trying to earn an honest living at the market in the sun all day, her husband, who wasn't the girl father, was having sex with that child, was abusing that child. So as parents, we have to be very careful of who we entrust our children with, especially our girl children. But in these times, I am surprised to know that a lot of boys too, 1 in 13, gets abused. So back in the days, you used to think about, oh my God, I have to watch my girl children. At this time now, you will really have to watch your boy children and your girl children. And like I said, abuse often happen behind closed doors, and it's a lot of family members who abuse our children. And why this matters? Child sex abuse can affect the child's mental health, emotional well-being, physical development, and ability to trust people. While there may, while I get a loss of thought just now, sorry. You know, I got to tell you, but there is what we must remember: prevention is almost possible, protection is possible too, and healing is possible. It starts from listening, it continues with believing. So, like I said, we have to believe when our children come to us with these kind of things, especially sexual abuse. Sit down, listen to them, um, and if you're not sure, hey, take them to the hospital and let them check them out. And it grows when we decided that protecting our children is not optional; it is our responsibility as parents. And Mahindra, as parents, you must be aware and understand your children, speak to them, and create that connection and environment for them to share with you everything and anything. Absolutely. We must create that safe space to let those little children open and be able to talk to us. And the other thing is, when you have family members coming to stay at your house, be very mindful. Don't put them to sleep with your young children. You want to do as much as you can to protect your kids because you don't know people. People may look good, they may be your brother and sister, but guess what? They're the one who will trouble your children, right? And like I said, one in four, 1 in 4 boys would get sexual abuse in their lifetime, and I think 1 in 13, 1 in 4 boys and 1 in 13. Sorry, I'm getting it confused. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 13 boys would get sexual abuse. So you see, they go and abuse the girls more than boys. But you have to pay attention to the boys too. Don't think that they're safe with somebody else. It's best you sleep with your children if you want than to let them sleep with a stranger. And I don't know, but I could tell you this, that I want to tell you that a lot of times we want to send our children to spend holiday with our cousins, with our uncles, with their aunties, and all these kind of things. But that's where when some of these things happen. That's why I try my very best not to send these children at people's house to sleep. Let them stay home. than to go out there and get abused. Because one of the one of the things as a psych nurse and as an addiction nurse, I have found out from many patients that end up with psychiatric diagnosis that they were abused as young children. They were abused by their father, their uncle, their brother, their neighbor. Sometimes you send them to the neighbor and they get abused and they don't tell you until later on. And abuse can cause a lot of problems. They could end up having a psychiatric problem. They could end up being depressed, right? Um, so, as parents, we have the responsibility to make sure we provide a safe space for our children because we are the elders and we have to protect them, keep our arms around them, right? And um, as we come to our closing at the end of tonight's conversation, I want to leave with you this. Child sex abuse thrives in silence, but it is stopped by awareness, courage, and action. Every child deserves to feel safe, to be heard, and to be protected. Sometimes the difference between harm and healing is one adult who chooses to listen, to believe, and to step in. If something doesn't feel right, trust that instinct. If a child speaks, take it seriously. And if you can help, do not stay silent. Protecting children is not just about a responsibility, it's the duty we all share. Let us be the voice for those who are afraid to speak. Let us be the strength for those who feel powerless. Let us be the change that ensure no children suffer in silence. Thank you for listening. May we continue to stand for the safety and dignity of every child. And I want to say one thing too. We as parents, we have to teach our children that not any and everybody is privy to come and touch your child penis, vagina, or the rectum. Let them know your aunt and your uncle not supposed to touch that area. You know what I'm saying? Teach your children safe place that people can touch them in the head and the arm. They could give them a hug, but touching them in their private parts, it's a no-no. Groom them in that way so that if that happens, they could tell you. They could come say, "Mommy or Daddy, Tom Jones was trying to touch me at my private parts," and that's when you intervene. And I could tell you that it really do affect children, even adults. And as we talk about trauma, it's very traumatic for some people, right? Another thing I want to talk about a little about the trauma. I have seen so many people through my years of working have experienced trauma as a child, as a teenager, as a young individual, and they have never addressed that. And I see it play around in our community. They were traumatized as a young child, and they have not addressed that trauma from the young days. And that what they do, they go and they start to do these things to people. They end up getting diagnosed with depression and different form of um, psychiatric condition. Another thing I want to say too, sometimes in abuse, a child may get abused and may think that may be a good thing or the right thing. And that child, if not taught that's something wrong, they may end up going and do somebody else, hurt somebody else's child. So these things we have to pay attention to. There's a story that says, hurt people. And sometimes when you're bleeding, you may end up bleeding on other people. Usha Azimula, a very good evening to you. um, Good evening. Thanks for watching. And Mahendra says, as parents, you must be aware and understand your children. Speak to them and create that's right connection and environment for them to share with you everything and anything. Absolutely, we must keep an eye on our children. If we see our child is walking funny after coming back from a vacation, we want to know what happened. If you're unsure, take them for a test. Take them to the hospital. You know, um, and as parents, like I said, we have a responsibility to take care of our children. Again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you very much for watching tonight's show, the Ken Rampersaud Show. A lot's going on with me. I'm preparing to head to Guyana. I went and picked up my awards today, some of them, and so after the show, I'm going to go cut them and try to fix them on the award board. Um, and don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you've promised me any donation, don't forget to tell me at 917-767-2248, and you will get to see how your money is spent. Also, we have a lot of Pampers. I'm getting a lot of Pampers that I have, wheelchairs, and some walkers. Every day, somebody call and ask for them. And, like I tell people, you don't have to give me $100, $200, $10, $20, $50, how much you can afford. God will bless you for that. You know what I'm saying? And I know, and I don't want to say this, but I would say it's so easy for some people to give $100 to party or something else, but it's so difficult for some of us to give someone a $20 or $30 to help the poor and the underserved. Let's try to change our mindset and let's look into the poor people. I'm not telling anyone how to spend the money, but kindness matters. And let's be good to each other. When we are blessed, it is good to share our blessings with those who are not so blessed like us. So, again, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, please, I'm going to put my Zelle number inside of there. And um, check on my girls. That's right. Hussein said that's what she always check on. You have to check. You don't trust these guys these days. And now it's different. You know what I'm saying? You may have back in the days, you may think to yourself that, you know what, you don't have to watch your boy child. Nowadays, you have to watch your boy child too. You watch everybody because these predators is all over the place. You know what I mean? So look out for these people, right? If I can save today, if today shows save one child from being abused or educate you, I have done enough. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and do have yourself a good evening and a good week. And again, be very careful out there. We sometimes get carried away with our phone, but please pay attention to our surroundings. I heard there was people getting robbed and so on in Richmond Hill, so please pay attention and put your phone away. Don't walk with a lot of jewelry. Don't try to show off with your jewelry and all these things. Be mindful of your surroundings. Have a very pleasant evening, everyone, and good night. And Mahendra, thanks for your input. Thanks for watching. All of you, Usha Azamula, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I appreciate it.